I think it's time to move on to the blue balls now.
The blue balls.
Yeah. Right then. So I don't know where we want to start with this. So I think it might be worth just noting what this phenomenon is for anybody who hasn't. I mean, I assume most of the viewers will have heard of this thing, but just in case there's anyone out there who doesn't know what we're talking about, I take it that blue balls is the phenomenon where a man gets sexually aroused, say he's masturbating or he has sex or something, so he becomes aroused, yes, and then stops, right, and there's no further stimulation is provided, so he doesn't orgasm. What will happen then is he experiences pain, and the only way to relieve the pain is to then have an orgasm. And not every guy has this, but there are many guys who claim they have this. They experience sexual arousal. The stimulation stops. They experience pain.
I think I would even go so far as to say, like, extended arousal. I'm willing to accept, like, that the arousal needs to be extended. It can't just be, like, looking at someone and being like, oh, that's attractive, and, like, momentary arousal.
We're talking about a situation where there is a period of stimulation or arousal.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be stimulation. Yeah. You can just be very aroused for a period of time.
Really?
But it's not momentary.
Okay, well, I mean...
Oh, okay. See, I thought I was being charitable.
Yeah,
if you want to limit it to stimulation, that's fine.
You know, it doesn't really matter. I'd always thought of it as involving stimulation beforehand, but...
What's relevant to me is that it is a period of arousal followed by pain, which can be reliably alleviated by a subsequent orgasm.
Okay, so this is the phenomenon that we're talking about. Now, your position is that this phenomenon doesn't really exist. I mean, so this is the controversial thing that we're going to be... This is the point, right?
In totality, this phenomenon does not exist. I do not doubt that pain following arousal exists.
Right.
I have no doubt that pain following arousal exists.
Okay, but then
it's the causal relationship that I'm challenging.
But the claim that the pain is relieved by orgasm is the claim that you don't accept.
So the entire phenomenon, extended arousal followed by lack of manifestation of an orgasm that can be alleviated by orgasm.
Yeah. So
that phenomenon is all of it. You have to have all parts. That is what I think doesn't exist.
I think that my position is, I mean, I'm inclined to believe it does exist, right? And the reason is just because there's lots of guys who've said that they experience this, and I'm generally inclined to believe people's testimony about their own experiences. Like, as long as there aren't, let's say, defeaters, right? Like, as long as we don't have good reasons to think otherwise. Now, I do think that it might be interesting to compare this particular case.
Like, after arousal, I experienced God.
Well, obviously, I mean, no, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily doubt this, right? Like, I wouldn't necessarily doubt their report of the experience.
Yeah, you're doubting God.
In the case of God, I can totally believe, well, I wouldn't necessarily believe it, but I would be willing to accept that somebody experiences arousal and then has some sort of religious experience. I wouldn't accept that it's God because...
That it is evidence of an objective external thing.
It would just tell us something about them.
That's what I'm denying, is this objective external mechanical thing.
Right. I mean, the problem that I have with this is that...
I'm not doubting that somebody might feel pain after experiencing arousal.
But the problem...
That could happen for any number of reasons.
Yeah. Okay, so...
So my reason for objecting to this is pretty clear, because like it seems to put almost, like, if we're going to set aside our both fucking error theorist positions, it seems to create an obligation on the part of the woman then to aid in the cure for it,
but it
which would be
because you can cure it by orgasm, and so you can just do that yourself.
Presumably, but I don't know. Maybe you're like, maybe she wants to continue the date.
The only thing that this,
So you've not been. Have you been confronted with this in reality?
What?
Like in your life?
Me personally, if I had blue balls, no.
Or like somebody telling you that you did that to them.
Well, no, because I don't go out with men. Right, I'm only attracted to women. So
I don't know. Maybe some guy had a crush on you and was like, "Dude, you're giving me blue balls."
well, somebody might say something like that, but they're not actually referring
I
to
don't
a
know.
genuine.
Maybe asserting an obligation on your part.
That if somebody says it in that sort of context, I would take them to be just using it in a hyperbolic way. It's sort of like I had a friend once who went out camping in really cold temperatures, and he was like, almost got frostbite. And it's sort of like, obviously he didn't really almost get frostbite, right? It was in like the middle of summer. It was just a bit cold, right? He was just talking in an exaggerated way. So
yeah,
no doubt, some people might say, "Oh, I have a crush on you, and you're giving me blue balls." But I would just say, "Yeah, they're just being silly."
you handle that.
But I do believe that. Yeah, I think that I'm generally going to trust people's testimony about their own experiences. So if if there are a lot of men saying, I get aroused, if I then stop the arousal and I don't orgasm, I experience pain, and then I orgasm and the pain goes away. If they're saying that that's something that happens, I don't have any particular reason to disbelieve them. I'm sure that there are some guys out there who might use that as a reason to like try to impose an obligation on a woman they're with, but you don't. Yeah. I mean, not necessarily, right? Because it's orgasm that relieves the pain. So you don't.
That's my problem with it. That is my problem with it though, because like, okay, so with body damage, with pain, physical pain, which is a result of body damage, unless there's something seriously awry in one's neurology, that pain is a result of damage, and I have a serious problem with the assertion that a subsequent orgasm somehow like cures the body damage that has already occurred. And that's why I'm saying this thing as a whole does not exist, because if I am to believe, so I understand the mechanism.
I think you're wrong about this, about the claim that, so there are so many things that I disagree with on this statement that I'm going to have to start writing things down here.
Well, I don't have a pencil, I just have a knife.
I have a pencil, and there's nothing you can do with that knife because we live in different countries, so, that threat does not work.
Word.
Right, wait a minute. So there's a point about...
eat. This isn't fair!
What? Look, there are at least two things wrong with what you said. At least two things, and there was some other thing, but I've forgotten it. So.
Okay, so my objection is to the idea that a subsequent orgasm cures the condition that is blue balls. I have no doubt that a period of extended arousal can result in pain. In pain, and that's because, and you and I looked this up, it looks like what happens is this area is engorged with blood, and sometimes all of that blood does not leave the area, and you get a kind of bruising effect, hence blue. So I accept that can happen, that this like bruising as a result of being swollen for some period of time with blood, or engorged for some period of time with blood, can occur. I have no doubt about that. The thing I have a problem with is that if you then go ahead and like fuck this person, that bruising or that body damage fucking disappears. And if that's not what people are asserting is happening, then I want to know where the damage is occurring or what thing is happening, such that that subsequent mechanism could reliably resolve the initial problem. It's just not coherent.
Okay, so here are the two main objections I have to the position you've just outlined. So the first thing that I object to is the idea that there is a strict correlation, let's say, between pain and bodily damage in normal humans, or relatively normal humans. I think pain can be caused by all kinds of things that aren't going to result in bodily damage. I mean,
No
I have
doubt.
some
Yeah,
experience
like
with this
we were
myself
talking
because
about crying at TV. I can feel pain from other things, but I'm talking about physical pain.
yep, I'm talking about physical pain as well.
Okay.
Like I myself have experienced really severe chest pains as a result of anxiety. And
So that's psychosomatic.
yeah, and that's not going to be connected with bodily damage. At least I sure hope it isn't.
If you wanted to say that blue balls was entirely psychosomatic,
look.
I could accept that.
No. This isn't this. First of all, it might be psychosomatic. Okay,
Oh,
I'm happy to
glad
accept.
you jumped
I'm
to
happy
that.
to go with that. I'm happy to go with that. But the point is, I'm just presenting this as a counterexample to the claim that there is this strict correlation between pain and bodily damage. And
I don't doubt that psychosomatic pain exists.
right. Well, blue balls could be psychosomatic.
If you're willing to say that blue balls could be psychosomatic, then I don't think we have a debate here. I think we have a position and a non-position.
Well,
I was
no,
gesturing.
because
I guess, should I gesture over here to get to you?
look, this isn't a non-position. I think this is a phenomenon that occurs. But maybe
This
I
is a
should
phenomenon
look.
that occurs, but I mean, I was saying like as
yeah.
a causal relate. That's
Well,
why
this-
the causal thing is so necessary to it.
This brings me to the second point, which is that I don't think that you need a causal mechanism in order to establish that there is a phenomenon occurring. So you don't need, for instance, you can establish that the continents are drifting without understanding what the causal mechanism is that drives the drifting continents, right? You learn that there's this phenomenon going on, and then you work out what the mechanism is. Now, in the case of blue balls,
I'm not doubting that people feel pain. I am not skeptical at all.
Okay, but that's not the issue here, right? I think that what's involved in blue balls is there is pain following arousal, which is relieved
Cured
when you
by
cured when you then orgasm, right? So that's what we're talking about here. I thought that was what you were denying.
I don't doubt that there is pain following arousal in some individuals. That has to be self-reported.
But that's not, again, pain following arousal, which is cured by orgasm.
It's which is cured by orgasm.
Yeah.
That I have a problem with.
Okay, but
because as we looked into it, okay, so what is the source of this pain?
But why does it matter? Right.
It matters because what is if it's just psychosomatic, then I don't think we have a discussion.
Okay, right. First of all, we do because psychosomatic pain caused by orgasm. You're still talking about pain, right? So that even if it's psychosomatic, there's still pain caused by arousal, which is relieved by orgasm.
Well, then there could be such a thing as like blue murder, where you're like, I really wanted to murder somebody and then I didn't, and now I'm suffering because of it.
I don't even understand that analogy. Look, come on, you have said before that you are a I can't remember how you put it.
You can't bring up shit from other times we've talked. You're sitting there like, I'm not an error theorist.
I'm not an error
Fuck
theorist.
you. Say that with a straight fucking face.
Seriously, you've said that you understand the attraction of dualism, that you're like a dualism in your heart, if not in your mind, or something like that, right?
Emotionally, I am a dualist.
So you get
intellectually, I am obviously not.
Pain is just pain. Pain is something that you experience. It doesn't matter
whether
it's psychosomatic or not.
I'm not doubting that, but there needs if the arousal is the mechanism for pain, like I want there are medical explanations for how extended arousal could be a mechanism for pain, right? And that is that this thing becomes engorged with blood, not just your penis, but your testicles as well.
Yeah.
Become engorged with blood, and this for an extended period of time, if all the blood isn't released at once or something, can cause basically swelling and bruising.
Right.
I accept that, no problem. That is part of the definition of blue balls. If you Google blue balls, there's a whole medical description of how this fucking thing happens. And
Right.
it is essentially the way I described, somewhat drunkenly.
But
I believe I have burritos. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, there's two issues here, which is that, first of all, okay, let's say I accept this, like, mechanistic view, where we need to give causal explanations. I think we actually do have a pretty plausible skeleton, let's say, of a causal explanation of blue balls.
Okay.
And that would just be this. Okay, it becomes engorged with blood, and that causes the pain. And then, of course, when you orgasm, one of the things that happens as a result of orgasm is all the blood leaves. I mean, you can see that. You can see that a penis that has orgasmed, right, it goes down, okay? So you get the blood going out. So that relieves the pain. It's just like if I do this, you know, I'm experiencing pain because I'm squeezing my arm.
Are you getting that C5 stimulation?
Yes, I am. It's very painful. And then
well, stop doing it.
And it's gone.
Oh,
okay,
it's
the
gone.
source of the pain is gone, and now there's no pain on my arm. And
I accept all of this.
Same thing happens with blue balls.
I accept all of that. What I don't accept is that. So what you described there is like essentially standard intercourse, right? You are interested in someone, you become aroused. You engage in sex, and then orgasm is achieved, and the blood leaves. That's not the story of blue balls. The story of blue balls is you become aroused by somebody. Maybe you do, maybe you don't engage in some kind of simulation. Orgasm is not achieved, and thus there is body damage from being engorged with blood and from suspended arousal.
I don't think it's postulating body damage.
It is if you Google it. No. That's what it is.
I don't think it does.
Physiologically, being aroused causes body damage.
I don't think it supposed. I mean, I'm going to have to look this
up.
So
if it's not physiological,
I'm looking this up.
Look, if it's not physiological, I'm fucking saying this. I let you say your bit. If it's not physiological, literally blue balls and disappointment are synonymous.
Okay, listen. First of all, there is a distinction between disappointment and pain, okay?
Yeah, well, the pain of disappointment.
Look, I've Googled this and...
Yeah, we both have.
Okay, here it is on Wikipedia. Blue balls is a slang for the condition of temporary fluid congestion, vasocongestion in the testicles accompanied by testicular pain caused by prolonged sexual arousal in the human male without ejaculation. Nothing on the Wikipedia page about damage and...
Congestion is damage. That is not the natural state.
Oh, okay, but that's something different. I thought you meant something like long-term. If you just mean it's not the natural state of things, then yeah, I mean, like, but
no, I'm saying so the pain is a product of the congestion.
Okay, here you go then. The genital area becomes engorged with blood, causes congestion. The blood then leaves. Congestion
because you're not
relieved.
Aroused anymore.
Yeah, once you ejaculate, the blood leaves because you're not aroused anymore. Congestion is relieved. Pain is relieved.
And that's but that's not blue balls as we discussed.
Oh, I think it is. I think that would count as
no,
blue balls.
No, because that's just sex. Like it becomes engorged.
No.
You need a state of like non-arousal.
Yeah. So that's it. So there's some state, but
necessary.
There's some
where the blood does not
reason.
Adequately leave.
Yeah.
The genitals. At which point.
So why do you think that just doesn't happen?
I'm not doubting that. What I'm doubting is that it is relieved by subsequent post non-arousal orgasm.
Why would that be so unbelievable?
Okay, because look, check it out. This is how I perceive my non-dick having perception of this occurring. All right, let's talk about it in terms of, I don't know, my finger being swollen. All right. And maybe that seems shitty to guys. I'm sorry if that seems shitty to guys. You can explain at great length to me later why it seems shitty. But if I do this, if I cut off circulation to my finger, it will become engorged with blood. I'll lose circulation. We'll have some problems, right? If I release it, the blood is released, and then it's able to do its thing. Mm-hmm. That to me is analogous to the normal course of coitus, right? Is that analogous to you? Likewise, like this thing.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Other than the pinching, right? Because
there are, I think, some. I mean, I have some problems with the analogy.
So as I've read about it, I'm going to cut you off. I'm just going to continue anyway. I'm sorry. As I've read about it, blue balls are a product of all the blood not leaving the member, and this is painful, right? So this thing becomes engorged, and when it is no longer stimulated or interested, the erection is lost, the blood leaves, but not all of the blood leaves. This thing has been engorged for an extended period of time, and maybe suffered some damage in that time, maybe not. Either way, it seems like, and you found a blog at one point by a physician that said blue balls were, like, it's just the problem he has. He just feels the need to share that. But anyway, his claim was that it's the product of an excess of blood, a congestion, as it were, of blood being left in the balls. Now, what bothers, I accept all of this up to that point. What bothers me is the idea that becoming re-engorged with blood and then achieving orgasm would suddenly, like, flush all this shit out and alleviate the damage that had been done.
I mean,
like, as if by some magic. It seems as though if the problem is that this thing has residual blood in it, and you feel pain as a result of that, then that's not going to be cured by orgasm.
Well, the thing is,
by re-engorging the thing, and then, right, because the damage would have been done.
But I think this is a strange objection because, I mean, orgasm is a significant bodily response, a significant physiological response. I can totally.
It's an involuntary muscle
contraction. But I mean, yes, it's involuntary, but it's significant, and I can totally imagine that you would have, a lot of blood being rushed out of the genital area as a result of orgasm.
I've come. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I mean that seems plausible to me.
I have seen dicks post coitus.
Here's the thing.
Like it's like
I think that the reason to believe in blue balls really is I think it's the correlation that we see. So there's arousal, and then unsatisfied arousal, pain, orgasm, pain goes away, right? Like, I think that's enough. Once you've got that sequence of events happening reliably, I'd say that's blue balls.
You have a source of the pain. You have a source of the pain.
Here's my point.
The congestion of blood in one's genitals.
So let's say there has to be a mechanism.
And they're blue because they're bruised. That's the idea.
We may not know exactly what the mechanism is, but it's not like we have some general reason to believe that there isn't some mechanism that could do that. So the case I would compare it to, and we agree on this.
Yes, there is, because body damage is not cured by orgasm.
Well,
if the damage is done, the bruise has occurred.
Okay, but you're talking about damage in a very broad sense. I mean, this isn't.
Pain is a result of damage.
Yeah, but no, pain can be the result of this, and this isn't damage either. That's not going to do any long term.
It's minor damage.
Exactly my point, right? But the point that's happening is when you do that.
So the pressure is no longer applied to the dicks.
Yeah, and the pain goes away. And the pain goes away. That's what I'm saying. So you do this.
That's normal coitus. That's
let go, pain goes away, and there's no long-term damage. There's only minor damage. I don't think anyone
because the damage has stopped occurring. But if the damage is like a bruise or something, like let's say I punch you and you receive a bruise, that bruise is going to stay there. Ejaculating is not going to make that bruise go away.
I don't think anybody claimed that blue balls caused long-term damage.
Well, not like, I mean, long term is ambiguous. We haven't cleared that up yet.
I mean,
it's vague.
Damage that continues for more than a couple of days, let's say, or even for more than a couple of hours.
I would say more than a couple seconds.
Well, however you
would
want to
be
put it,
my
really. I mean, I don't think anyone claimed that blue balls caused damage.
pain beyond the physical application of some kind of pressure.
Yeah, I think
right?
that's
Like,
all
I
that's required.
poke myself, and I feel pain beyond the application
So
of the activity. So the problem I have is that the claim seems to be, as I understand it, that it's the congestion of blood that causes the damage,
Yeah,
and I
but-
do not understand
Okay.
how a subsequent re-engorging and ejaculation would eliminate that congestion that has done damage.
well, forget about. I mean,
it seems like the damage is done.
But if the congestion of the blood is causing the pain, then the blood being removed can. Get
You're
rid of the
not
pain.
just removing it. That just
Right.
removing it would be normal sex. You're losing your erection, which represents the removal of quite a bit of blood.
But normal sex is sufficient to reduce blue balls. So in fact, masturbation is sufficient.
No.
Orgasm is all that's required.
When I say, okay, I should clarify. When I say normal sex, I don't mean normal sex subsequent to the blue balls. I mean the normal arc of arousal.
Yeah.
So you engage, you become aroused. You have sex.
Oh, I see. So your objection is that you don't. So it's like if you.
My
have,
objection is that it does like this.
I see. So part of what you're concerned about then is the fact that there isn't the blue balls phenomenon during normal sex, where you have blood going to the.
Why does this just
Right.
magically go away? Yeah, that's my problem. My problem is with the cure, not with the assertion that there
Well,
is
I
pain.
don't know.
after
I mean, the
arousal
cure
without
seems very
orgasm.
straightforward to me because orgasm, like I say, is a significant physiological.
It
process
seems
of
like
constant
if you've done the thing right, you've become like you've become aroused, you've stayed aroused for a while, and then generally you lose arousal. I think there's a taper off.
Yeah.
It's not like a plummet. I don't know. Maybe you're terrified of something. It could be a plummet. But it tapers off, but like plateaus early before your actual like not engorged state. Why like re-engorging would not be painful, and then like having the sex and achieving orgasm. Like, why is this the cure? That's my problem.
Well,
My problem
presumably,
is
it remains. There's somehow. I don't know, what is it?
Like,
The idea is that blood
re-engorged
pools.
with blood
I mean, at the end of the day,
suddenly, like,
I don't
instantly?
know the mechanism, but you see, I don't think this matters, right? Like, this is. So, I think we have a general skeletal understanding of what the mechanism might be, but I don't think we need to know the exact mechanism to know that there is a process that occurs.
I think people are
The-
just describing disappointment.
The issue is, so where this is an issue is where we have good reason to think that there could not possibly be a mechanism, and we both
And
agree.
that's what I'm saying is I
Yeah, but
don't
I
think
don't think
there
you've
is a
so-
possible mechanism
No,
that works that way.
I don't think you've established this adequately. So a case where I know we agree on this is the squirting case, right? So it's why do neither of us believe that this occurs? And well, there are several reasons in my
There's
case.
reliable research that measures what
Yeah.
squirting is, and time again, it's urine.
I mean, so the main reason is just that actually we've
So I'm not
we've looked
doubting
at
that women are pissing all over men.
Yeah.
I'm doubting that it's coming from some alternate universe.
But
of
but
orgasm.
there's another factor here. So
Squirting men.
factor number one is we've looked at, we've researched the chemistry of the squirt and the urine and found that they're basically the same. And factor number two is, and this is the point about mechanism, there just isn't anywhere in the female body that it could come from, right? Like, and we just know that because we now know female bodies in fairly great detail, right? We know the different compartments. Where on earth could this alternative liquid be stored?
Where unicorns are stored,
Yeah.
apparently.
So I think, okay, in that case, yeah, I can see that there's a good like mechanistic argument against the existence of this thing. But I don't
not just a
see
good
that.
mechanism. There's a flat out good argument. It's pee. It's just pee.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's what. So one.
I care about your audience.
Even
Guys,
if.
squirting is pee. It's just pee. It's just pee.
But there,
it's
I
just
mean, there's also
It's
nothing
fine
wrong
to
with
do that,
that. If
but
people are interested in peeing on each
it's
other, then
absolutely
whatever.
fine. No, informed consent. Informed. It's pee. It's pee. It's just pee.
So yeah, one of the
Maybe
reasons
if
is
someone's so good they piss themselves, like rock on with your bad self. But
I
it is
would
pissing yourself.
suggest
It's not fucking female seminal fluid or something. That's fucking nuts.
Even if we hadn't analysed the chemistry of urine and squirt and found that they were the same thing, we'd have at least some good reason to suspect that they were the same thing based on the fact there's nowhere that this liquid could have come from, right? So that's what I say when I mean there's a good mechanistic argument against it.
And what I'm saying is,
I don't
if
think
the
you've done that
pain
for
is
Blueballs.
caused by congestion, refilling the member with more blood does not seem like it would. That does in no way decreases congestion.
I think you're overlooking something important, which is the fact that being aroused just in itself reduces pain, and especially pain in the genitals.
AJ had a toothache, and I was like,
I'm talking about. So it might not reduce pain there, but I think it reduces pain.
No,
in the
it totally
genitals.
works. It totally works. Like that's a very nice thing you can do for somebody who's in pain, no doubt. But that's a distraction. That isn't, and this is maybe why I want to marry it to body damage so much.
Where's the pain, right? So let's say somebody becomes aroused.
Yeah.
Okay, they experience pain. The arousal goes down, and now your issue is, okay, how does becoming aroused again?
Re-arousal again.
Re-arousal.
Yeah.
Well, the point is,
if the pain is a product of congestion, which as your Wikipedia article that we agreed on said it was,
although I actually don't think that that's necessary.
More shit in there.
Yeah.
Fix the problem.
So,
if the problem is that there's too much water in the balloon, you don't put more water in the balloon.
So
that is not
a
cure.
Okay, you put more water in the balloon, but in addition to putting water in the balloon, you're also getting aroused again, and the arousal removes the pain, and then you orgasm, and all the water goes out the balloon.
If the pain is a product of having shit where it's not supposed to be, there's not supposed to be water in the balloon at all when it's just chilling. It's just a balloon in a packet.
But look, you get aroused.
It doesn't want to have any water in it.
You get aroused
Putting
again.
more water in it isn't going to fix that problem.
The other thing
That's
that you're
not a real thing.
So the other thing you're not
I
considering
have
here.
to pee so bad. My balloon is full of water.
Well, I just do want to point out that, you know, the genitals, when they're not aroused, they go smaller. So imagine the balloon going smaller and then arousing and expands the balloon.
Yeah, so where is the pain then?
Well, obviously it goes away because there's not so much pressure or whatever.
No, where does it occur? In your... Yeah, so
Once
adding more pressure fixes the pressure problem?
No.
That's absurd.
Expanding reduces the pressure.
1 second. I have to reduce the pressure.
I'm gonna...
I don't know. Did you just do a little flippy?
Well, I mean, I don't... Yes. You didn't have to draw attention to it.
I mean, I just noticed it. I'm sorry my pee broke up the blue balls, but I came back with a burrito, so...
But that's okay. I think I said what I wanted to say.
I think you... Well, no, because I feel like I'm fucking right. And I was like, in the toilet, like, imagining balloons, and I'm like, okay, so the problem is this balloon didn't entirely deflate. How the fuck is it that the solution is to re-inflate the balloon?
No, surely the issue is the quantity of material in the balloon, the quantity of substance in the balloon, right? So there's an amount of liquid.
No, because normal men can experience arousal and then, like, let's say disarousal, right, without orgasm, without feeling pain.
Right.
That is a normal functional set of genitalia.
Yes.
Is like come aroused and then like nothing, like I don't know, you see some girl in nice shorts or something.
You know, I would point out, it occurs to me that, like, in the case of blue balls, there's actually a perfectly sensible evolutionary reason why that would happen. I mean, so you're talking about, you know, normal genitalia. I mean, I don't myself, I try to avoid these kinds of adaptationist stories because obviously you can just invent whatever story you want for anything. But even so,
bullshit. Not even so. I anything you say, I'm just gonna be like, this is why psych is bullshit.
Of course, it would cause pain because it's gonna,
make it disadvantageous to not fuck.
Yeah.
Whatever. So fuck off.
No, I'm not actually. Look, here's the thing. The balloon thing. I mean, I don't know, but it's surely. If you become aroused, then the blood has got more places to it goes to more places, so the balloon expands, so there's more space for the liquid in the balloon, so the pain is relieved. It's like you've got a container.
The blood expands by virtue of pressure, which is the very source of the pain.
You have a container, which is, if you've got a container like this, there's only a certain amount of blood you can get in it. If the container expands, then you've got...
Dude, your balls aren't made out of titanium, okay? Anyway. It's not like, oh, I'm not interested in having sex. Suddenly this is painful. No, it would have to be the available sources of physiological pain, meaning non-psychosomatic, disappointment-based pain, would be residual
pain
blood.
Is not necessarily a matter of disappointment. Okay, it's like it can genuinely feel like pain.
I gave a list.
Yeah.
I gave a list of possible sources of pain, right? But pain as a product of something that has physically occurred, right? Neither one of us doubts that psychosomatic pain can exist. We're on the same page there. So pain as a product of something physical, just a physical story that we can tell from A to Z or A to Z, is the story of blue balls lacks the necessary mechanisms as well as explanatory power.
See, this is
that I would want to have.
I think this really is the main issue, because I don't think we even need to spell out the mechanism. And I mean, it might be, like, as far as I'm concerned, the pain of blue balls might be psychosomatic. It might not, but it might be. And if it turns out to be psychosomatic, I would say, yeah, that's okay. You've explained the pain of blue balls, maybe in a way different to what we thought we were going to explain it, but that's still blue balls. So,
I'm just calling that disappointment.
Well, I guess this is the thing then, because I don't think you need the mechanism. I think blue balls is literally just a sequence of events that occurs reliably, where a man becomes aroused, the arousal stops, there's pain, has orgasm, pain goes away, right? Like, as long as you have that sequence of events occurring reliably in a lot of men, I'm going to call that blue balls.
I have a genuine question. In your understanding of blue balls, does the pain go away during the second period of arousal?
So, wait a minute. So we've got the arousal stops, pain,
blue balls.
Then there's the
injury, and then there's the second period of arousal.
Second period of arousal, then orgasm, then pain goes away. I thought it was
because I mean, are you like fucking through like severe pain?
I see what you mean. Yeah, no, I guess the
of arousal.
Well, first of all, is blue balls severe pain? I would have thought that the
as it has been posited to me, it is like a deep, like, gut ache.
Well, then I actually don't know. I think either way, right? It maybe goes away during the arousal or goes away afterwards.
And like, can you understand why I would be dubious of a claim like that, where like this pain is from swelling, so re-swelling the thing somehow cures it?
No, not really. I mean, bodies are weird, and we often discover. So
bodies are weird, but they make sense. It's just our lack of. They're weird in the sense that like we don't want to think that like these like ivory tower motherfuckers like put poo in a bowl every day, but we do. That's the sense in which they're weird. They're not actually weird. They make a lot of sense.
Pains can be caused by all sorts of things, and I can understand your position in the sense that you've explained it to me, and I see your perspective, but I just don't share it at all.
Like, I'm not doubting that people feel pain. It's just I don't know. I feel like what they're describing is actually just disappointment, or it's pain that's not alleviated by subsequent arousal and orgasm.
Well, see, that's what I believe. I believe that that sequence of events does reliably occur, and the fact that we can't specify the exact mechanism by which it occurs does not in any way challenge the existence of that phenomenon, as far as I'm concerned. I think that this is just a point that requires further study.
I would love for there to be further study, but what would further study reveal? It would reveal a more complete physical story.
And we don't have the physical story at the moment, right?
And I'm saying, as it is given to us now, that physical story doesn't make sense.
Well, then we just need a different physical story. So, but that's fine. The underlying mechanism can be different.
But like, if the physical cause of the pain is congestion, as is the story now, then it doesn't make sense that the relief would be additional material.
Okay, well, first of all, I think that might make sense if we understood the story in more detail, right? Like, I'm not willing to
blow a fucking balloon for you.
So like, I'm not willing to accept the claim that couldn't be the case. But also, maybe the cause isn't congestion. Maybe the cause is something else.
That's what. No, you can't say. I'm about to lick this off my hand. I'm so sorry. You can't say maybe the cause isn't congestion because that's part of our definition.
It's not part of my definition.
We agreed on a definition, then you looked it up on Wikipedia. I'm using your fucking lookup.
No, I'd be very clear. I think the phenomenon is, I would define it in terms of the behavior and experience. So there is arousal. Arousal stops, pain, another source of arousal, orgasm, pain goes away. Right? That's how I'm defining it.
Well, I'm glad for the clarification that you're absolutely defining it as the pain goes away after, not during the second.
Okay, fine. It can be during. After. It can be during or after, whatever.
No, it can't. That makes a significant difference to my argument.
Well, I don't. So the thing is, I don't really care at what point. I don't care at the exact point at which the pain goes away. Right? Like, I don't think that's important. So it can go away during. It can go away after. Whatever. I'm not sure.
No, that makes a difference.
I'm not sure what people who have blue balls would say about this. I think we'd have to do some sort of empirical study and ask them, because I don't experience this.
Somebody who gets blue balls involved. Because this is important to me and my position.
Do you think?
The pain goes away,
wait a minute. Do you think we could get somebody? Do you think we could get one of those people?
Tim just walked out.
Wait. Are you saying we could get we could get somebody who experiences blue balls?
You have people. Nobody I know claims they experience blue balls.
Right, okay.
They all say that it's bullshit. And also, like, we need to clarify our definition of, like, what it is. So it's not just an experience of pain. It's this entire story.
Yeah, but I'm worried about this because I worry that you're going to define the physical mechanism that you think doesn't make sense as part of that story, and I'm not willing to accept
I will not accept entirely psychosomatic stories as blue balls.
Okay, well, I will. So I think that we could explain blue balls in purely psychosomatic terms. If you gave a mechanism...
If you want to say that men feel pain because they were aroused and they didn't come, then I have no grounds on which to refute that. I have to rely on physical mechanisms. Otherwise, it's entirely just people self-reporting. But that's not how people discuss it. When people say blue balls are real, what they're asserting is that this has a physical basis.
Well,
that it is not purely psychosomatic.
I mean, I have no stake in making any particular claim.
Take a moment with that. When somebody says blue balls are real, do you think they're saying blue balls is a psychosomatic phenomenon, or do you think they're saying blue balls are a real physiological phenomenon?
I think that it would be like they're just asserting that there is a pain that is, so they have the arousal,
experience post arousal, and that is alleviated.
And the pain is alleviated by orgasm. Yeah, I think that's all they're saying. I wouldn't attribute any particular. I wouldn't attribute to them a claim about physical mechanism. No.
So I have encountered people in the past, when I was a much younger woman, who asserted the existence of such thing. And they definitely were of the perspective that this was not their fault. It was a physiological thing that I did to them.
Well, hang on a minute. Psychosomatic pain isn't like your fault, right? I mean, a pain. So there doesn't have to be a physical cause of pain for it to be your fault.
It was my fault. I physically did something to them.
Okay, but this just sounds like a guy who's trying to blame you because you haven't provided him with the sex that he desires.
Well, yes, that's largely what I would say blue balls are.
And I agree with you that there may well be many guys who use this phenomenon to that.
So if you want to say it's something other than psychosomatic, you need to show me the mechanism. And the mechanism, as we have found asserted online...
I mean, we don't need to do that.
Well, then I'll just leave you holding your dicks.
So, okay, but
I don't know.
Okay, well, you can do that anyway, right? Like, even if blue balls is a real thing, there is no obligation upon you to relieve the blue balls of men, right? Because they can just do that themselves. Yeah. And here's the thing, actually, even if they couldn't do that themselves, even if it was...
You have to, like, run out of class or something. Like, I'm out of here!
Even if blue balls was a real thing...
I gotta tend to this.
And the only way to relieve blue balls was to have a woman cause your orgasm, that would not generate any obligations upon women to give men orgasms.
Do you think it would generate an obligation on the part of the state?
Well, hang on a minute. I mean, now we're talking about, okay, what's the
some
state?
Bullshit I said while I'm trying to eat my burrito.
What's the state required to do? But you're talking to somebody who is increasingly attracted to anarchism, partly as a result of...
I think you're increasingly attracted to socialism, but that's beside the
point. Well, hang on a minute. I'm not sure how to... Like, what do you mean by socialism, and... why would you describe the changes in my views in that kind of way? And I mean, that seems to raise a whole other host of things. But do I think, the point is this, do I think that there's an obligation on the state to do this? Like, I don't even know if it would be morally permissible for the state to do this, let alone there be an obligation. Although I would just say, I mean, just for the record, I think that there's just as good an argument, if not a stronger argument, for the state to fund prostitution as there is for the state to fund things like the BBC. So, you know, like if you're going to have the BBC, then you should also have state-funded prostitutes, and they should be, you know, I mean, like it should be a highly regarded job. You know, it should be like
the Doctor Who series, like that is held in high regard.
Yeah, well, I mean, sex matters to more people than Doctor Who does. You know, I think that there's just as good a reason for the state to provide access to sex as there is for it to provide things like Doctor Who. So
quality Doctor Who, not any of that bullshit Doctor Who.
It ain't providing quality Doctor Who at the moment.
Okay, so I brought the state in a little bit to fuck with you so I could finish my burrito. I can't believe I've eaten nearly all of that burrito. That's a lot of burrito. Anyway, was because when we grant something that kind of status, we're acknowledging that this is we confer a level of legitimacy onto it. Usually medical legitimacy, right? So, like the state, for example. In a single-payer healthcare system, the state would not sponsor breast implants, but they might sponsor certain orthodontic endeavors. Right. So we start differentiating between like legitimate pathologies and personal desires and psychosomatic problems, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, if woman feels she's too fat and she wants liposuction, she might legitimately believe that she is gigantic whilst being a waif. That could happen. once we involve the state, we need some level of objectivity, and we need to throw out the arbitrariness of her own self-evaluation, right? So neither you nor I would deny that she feels she is overweight, but whether or not this is a legitimate pathology is an objective matter, or at least we can evaluate it in objective terms. If the state were like offered a cure for blue balls, right? It would then be a legitimate pathology, not something that's psychosomatic. So there's a difference there, and I think that's why I invoked that. Then again, I'm also shit-faced. So.
I mean, I actually am not sure what you're... Because, okay, I was just imagining a scenario where you couldn't... This was a purely hypothetical point I was making. So I was saying...
I guess you can jack off. Jacking off fucks us all up.
Yeah, so this is the point, right? The way to get rid of blue balls...
What if you had no hands?
Right, even if you accept blue balls, well, you can still make yourself orgasm, right? The point is this.
What?
Pretty much everybody can make themselves... Oh yeah, you don't need hands to make yourself orgasm.
Wait, like a wall, a couch?
Yeah,
like, does it have to be a couch? What if there's nothing available? Is my point.
Well,
don't make me
look,
be.
Here's just the general point. I mean, I guess you can imagine somebody who's, in a who's got locked-in syndrome.
They're quadriplegic.
Yeah. I'm not imagining cases like that because I can't be bothered to think about all of these exceptions.
We've got a torso with a head.
In the case of
they've been very
humans,
aroused for a while, and they are in great pain. Is that a legitimate pathology?
Okay, seriously, right? If you're seriously asking me, I think that
yes.
Look, in the case of somebody who's got locked-in syndrome or is paralysed or something like that, I absolutely think that if you're going to have something like the NHS, you should provide them with some sort of sexual relief. I think that it's wrong not to do that. At least it doesn't make sense to me that you would have, and it's not even about blue balls, actually. This has got nothing to do with blue balls. It's just if you're going to have a welfare state, right? I think that it's
needs
ridiculous,
to be non-moralizing.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's the thing that bothers me is that it can't be moralized. You have to just say, okay, there's this person and they have this desire, and it's a desire that basically every human has. We have this desire for sex, and there's nothing they can do themselves to relieve it. So of course that's going to be part of the obligations of a welfare state. So if you have a welfare state, then yeah, I think you've got to provide some sort of sexual relief
without that moralizing component. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
But that's something entirely different to blue balls, right?
That's where there we both are just resisting moralizing state.
Yeah. All I was saying was what was I saying? Oh yeah, so in fact for normal guys, right, the way that you relieve blue balls is just by masturbation. And so you don't need somebody else to help you. But even if you did need somebody else to help you, you couldn't then generate an obligation on any particular woman, right? You couldn't say, oh well, you've done this.
Well, that's also a good reason to invoke the state, because right now that's not any particular woman. It's just somebody whose job it is to do that thing.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose in the hypothetical scenario where we, number one, have a welfare state, and we, number two, it's the case that blue balls can only be relieved by somebody else.
You have no hand.
It makes sense to say that the state should do that. That should just be part of the medical services.
That bothers me because it registers to me as mere disappointment. If it's psychosomatic, then it's no different than a woman wanting liposuction because she thinks she's too fat.
Oh, I don't agree with this. Or at least do I not agree with this? I mean, because the problem is you're talking about psychosomatic pain, right? And pain is genuinely disruptive to people's lives. Like the pain that I experienced when I was undergoing anxiety.
Feeling like your fat is painful. I feel like I'm a bit fat right now, and I do not enjoy it. I feel like shit all the time.
You're using pain in a it seems to me a much broader sense, right? Like there's a certain sensation that's associated with genuine physical pain.
I'm just asking how much we should broaden our definition of pain.
Okay. I mean, for what
So
it's
if
worth,
it's
like,
if it's not body damage, what is it?
yeah. So I'm actually perfectly happy to accept, to just bite the bullet and say, well, yeah, like if you have a welfare state, it should do that as well. But again, this is part of me wanting it to be non-moralized. If you're going to have it be non-moralized, surely the only basis on which you can construct the provision of welfare is people's preferences. If you're like so it would just be, well, do people want this or
there
not?
are therapeutic and non-therapeutic procedures.
Okay,
Like those are pretty
yeah, but
easy.
this is no, I don't think they are. No, I'm not.
No, I mean, I
accept
think
this.
people
I think
have access to both.
health and disease. So first of all, I would say that health and disease are themselves at least partially sort of moralized terms, and even if you can define them in a purely non-moralized way, the problem is why you would say that the state should only be concerned with the reduction of disease, right? Like, why is that the preference that it should focus on?
Well,
rather
because
than all of these other preferences that people might have.
I think the answer would be that theoretically, psychosomatic things should be treated psychologically, not physiologically.
But you could still provide that through the state. I mean, the state can provide.
I just kind of felt like a fucking. Oh man, you didn't take the obvious answer there. I feel very bad in regard to trans issues, given the position I just took.
Was that the obvious answer? So
I feel like it was, because
okay, so, I mean, yeah, but here's the thing. You said that it could be treated psychologically and not, what was it? You said treated psychologically.
Physiologically.
And, but it seems to me that the obvious answer to that is just, well, look, I mean, here in the UK, right, the state will offer psychological health services, right? It will offer psychological treatments as part of...
Yeah, so you get a fellow with blue balls. I'm going to back off the weird shit I said and the implications for trans people, because I don't know that I'm prepared to have that conversation right now, because I do think they should be offered treatment. But if you have a person who comes to you, your king of the socialist...
Right.
government,
this is
which
a
makes
really
perfect
weird
sense.
situation because
You're just the sole arbiter of it, and somebody just comes to you and they're like, "I have a terrible case of blue balls. It's awful, and I have no hands and no feet. Nobody will jack me off."
How is this person
so
coming
bad.
to me? How have they managed to get themselves?
They've got
to
one
me?
of those wheelchairs that you can blow into to direct around. One of those Stephen Hawking
I think it's
wheelchairs.
pretty appalling that we've managed to develop the technology to move people around who are completely paralysed, but we haven't developed the technology to do automatic fleshlights that they can direct onto their penises to
I'm
let
sorry,
themselves
this
to get
isn't even
themselves off.
ridiculous. This
Okay.
is the actual state of things right now.
This is appalling. Somebody needs to get
No,
on
you
this.
can use mouth. You can even use eye movements to move a wheelchair. That's specialty designed for paraplegics. So that exists. I'm not even sci-fi yet. I'm only sci-fi in the sense that you're king of a socialist utopia. So this person comes to you and they're like, "I have blue balls." Do you send them to a psychologist or a prostitute? Do you send them to somebody to address the physical problem or the psychological problem?
Well, in that case, it would obviously be a prostitute, because blue balls can be solved like that by just orgasming, right? It's not like
No! Don't beg the question, you cunt!
it's not like a situation where somebody has depression or they have I mean, I tell you what, if you could solve depression by, I don't know, just tripping on acid, then I just send them to an LSD dealer.
Saying, teach a man to
know,
fish.
I mean, it seems like the prostitute would be
If it's psychosomatic, what follows from that is different than if it's physiological. Was the point I was trying to make with that ridiculous hypothetical? That clearly failed. You're just like, give the man a hand job. Fuck.
Yeah, of course. It's a lot. That would be the cheaper option and
that
simple option.
That is reasonable. Well, unless he keeps coming back. Unless it's like a recurring.
I think in that sense, I would send him if he keeps having it. I would want to find out. Okay, why is this? Is he just getting constantly like really aroused by things? And in that case, I may well send him to the psychologist because they might be able to help him control his arousal so that he's not constantly experiencing pain. Maybe. I mean, I'd probably send him to the GP first of all because they would be able to check whether there's anything physical going on. But
that would be our first question: is this psychological or is this physiological?
But I don't know.
I think that's a fair question.
I don't know what's being established by this weird hypothetical. I'm not really sure what the.
I was just looking for your intuitions, and you gave a great ode to philosophical intuitions earlier, so I figured I might as well go with that.